I don't believe in grades. I think grades kind of reinforce this like self hating, self internalizing identity, and where like I'm an A, I'm a B, I'm a C. And to me, like while the system promotes this like these type of like meritocratic values, I don't want any student feeling more or less than. And so coming into my class, what I say to everybody is, I know I have to give grades. I mean, this is part of what we do. And I say, actually, everybody gets an A. I start off that way in the class. And I say, but it's your job to hold it. Okay. Cause I know I have to do this. And so I actually go through and we talk about kind of the criteria that would help maintain an A. And then students actually do a lot of self-monitoring, because ultimately the way I approach teaching is that as a coach approaches a sport, right? Ideally, we want to help cultivate, develop, and instill a level of confidence around a specific skill. So lots of personal checklists, lots of personal, what did I do in this paper? How do I move it forward? And then to kind of keep monitoring that. It doesn't always work because students are like, well, how do I know I learned something? I said, well, I want you to look back at your grid. What did you do prior? And that's always been a very powerful strategy. Now, that's not to say that's around, specific to gender identity, but it also gives students a real clear message that they have a lot of power and agency in being a participant in a classroom.
When you give students power, there's something to be said about students then using that power to say no. Like, I don't want to do this specific thing. I don't agree with your feedback, et cetera, et cetera. There's power in their ability to speak up for themselves. So then how do you allow students to speak up for themselves while still getting the point is that you want to get across?
That's a fantastic question. What I do is they have their own narratives around why they think they deserve this. And usually I'm passive about it, right? So I actually sit down in conference with students and I already have the higher grade in mind. I want to see the critical thinking around that. So I already have, like, I don't really care. All I want them to do is be able to support why they think what they think. They think because I have power, because I'm the teacher, I'm the ultimate authority, but they're the ones that know better than I do if they've grown in a topic. I mean, I have some insight, obviously, because I have some level of experience, but they're the ones who know mostly, they have a better sense of their own, I think, development as a learner and thinker.
Yeah, in my experiences, I also do conferences. The students tend to think of themselves a lot lower than I would think of themselves. They tend to give themselves a much lower grade.
That's exactly it. Is they've already been conditioned to be part of this kind of institutionalization around thinking. I mean, what we're looking at is how do we restructure the system to begin with? How do we, what I call, everything is default. Everything is set through like the cisgender, heteronormative, cissexual gaze. Like we already walk into a space where we don't even know what we don't know. And so this work is about, well, how do we shift that default and how do we reset it and recalibrate it and, hit refresh? Like, are we able to do that? And that's what my research is about. And that's a monumental task. But at least the work that I'm trying to do is to impart that to enough people that it can spatialize and evolve.